It's time for another episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas, the podcast covering the intersection of business, culture, entrepreneurship, and life in general here in the Ozarks. Whether you are considering a move to this area or trying to learn more about the place you call home, we've got something special for you. Without further ado, here's our fearless host, Randy Wilburn.
Hey folks, this is Randy Wilburn coming to you with a special episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Just wanted to check in with you to see how your Monday is going. I had plans to originally release one of the episodes that I had done previously, but I also realized that, these are just different times. And I didn't want to just put out a regular episode as if nothing is happening in the world, because it is. And it's called Covid-19 or coronavirus, the pandemic. Most of you are hunkering down in your homes, really uncertain about what's going to happen. And I don't know. I think it's just important for us to figure out ways to communicate with each other, to encourage each other, and to say, this too shall pass, which has been my new catchphrase. I know it sounds crazy. I know a lot of you are maybe going through even deeper things than even what I'm dealing with, because I'm really not dealing with much. Lost a couple of jobs that I should have been traveling to do, and some other things. For those of you that don't know, I travel around the country doing trainings and leadership development, communication, and personal development. All that stuff is gone right now, dried up. I'm assuming it will come back at some point in time, but for right now, it's not an option. So what do? Do we just sit home and twiddle our thumbs? Do we try to make a difference for those that need a difference made? Do we wring our fingers or wring our hands and worry about what's happening in the world? I think we do a little bit of all of that, right? It is a good time for reflection. It is a good time to spend time with family. It is a good time to think about tomorrow, because tomorrow will come. It is a good time to think about other people, those that are struggling maybe more than you are. Maybe you're not worried about unemployment benefits, or maybe you're not worried about the stimulus package and the check that's coming through to so many millions of Americans in the coming weeks. But there are people out there that desperately need that money, and that money is going to be the difference of, I won't say life or death, but it could be that serious. That money is going to be a game changer. It's going to keep food on the table for a lot of people. It's going to keep gas in people's cars for what little bit of driving most people have to do, unless you have an essential job where you've got to go to work. And even though we don't have a standing order as of the time of the recording of this particular podcast that everybody in Arkansas needs to shelter in place, we still kind of need to shelter in place. And I was a little burned up the other day. I'll just share this with you guys as I'm listening, as some young kids live just right outside of our subdivision here in Fayetteville. And, they were all gathering together, hanging out and acting as if, there was nothing going on. And I was almost incredulous. I almost stopped my car and got out and admonished them. But I said, you know what? I remember when I was young. I remember when I was 19 and 20 and I thought I was invincible. I still think I'm invincible. I'm 50, but it's a much different situation now. And I've got a wife and three beautiful kids, and I've got to look out for them. And so I don't have a choice. I have to shelter in place. I have to take this as serious as I can, because my family is depending on me. And prayerfully, we're going to get through this. Prayerfully, we're going to get to a place where the incidence of coronavirus cases starts to decrease here in Arkansas and elsewhere, where we're going to start seeing the weight of the world on all of our local healthcare workers start to subside, and things start to get better. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. That I do believe. And I think, we have to just deal with it. And again, I've said it a couple of times before on other episodes of the podcast recently. I've said it on the town hall meeting that we did last week. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, where we brought in leaders from all throughout Northwest Arkansas to kind of discuss the coronavirus situation and what can we do about it? How can we help each other? We're in it. We just got to get through it. So there's no sense in pointing fingers, regardless of what side of the political aisle you sit on. We're all in this together. Corona does not care if you are Democrat or Republican, a libertarian, whether you are a Christian or an agnostic, whether you are an atheist or a Satan worshiper. The coronavirus doesn't care. And I think we just need to understand that and recognize that we're all going through this together. And so I think this is a very unique time in history for us to figure out a way to come together as human beings, as part of the human family, and work together, make some new friends, find out people that you could help that you wouldn't normally come in contact with. But because of everything that's going on right now, you find yourself at somebody's doorstep, or you find yourself picking up the phone and calling somebody that you've only met once or twice, but just deciding to reach out and see if you could help them. So that's kind of where I am. That's where my head is at. And I don't know. I just did not feel like issuing a special episode or a regular episode today of I Am Northwest Arkansas. I've got plenty of shows in the hopper, if you will. I've got Martin Miller from Theater Squared. I've got all of the great folks up at XNA Airport. I have a ton of great episodes to release, but I just feel like we need to be talking about other things right now. And so I'm going to kind of reconfigure some of the content that we put out here at I Am Northwest Arkansas over the next few weeks. And it's not going to be like it is normally. So if you only listen to me because you like to hear all the amazing people that I bring on the show, I get it. And you know what? You can put a pause in it, take a break from podcast listening for a while, and then come back when all this is over. Or you can stay tuned to what we do next, because we've got some interesting plans that we hope to pursue here at I Am Northwest Arkansas in our efforts to try to help the local business community, in our effort to try to help our local neighbors, just to try to make sense of all the things that are happening right now. We are working very hard behind the scenes to try to create some content that is valuable, content that allays fears or concerns, content that encourages or emboldens people to go out there and do things that maybe they wouldn't normally feel comfortable doing. And I think there's never been a better time for us to step out of our comfort zone while remaining socially distant. So I want to be very clear. I don't want you to just run out and go do a bunch of stuff and expose yourself to the coronavirus. I do want you to take a measured approach to this whole thing, but I want you to get in where you can and help out where you can, because I think you can make a difference, whether you realize it or not. One person can make a difference. And so I've got my little slice over here, and I'm going to try to make a difference with what I do on a regular basis, which is also why I'm going to be coming out with a video every day. I'm going to be kind of talking about this whole what's new NWA, just to kind of highlight anything new that any business or any individual is doing here locally that we could all benefit from in this time where we find ourselves kind of confined to our homes, or in the car on the way to the grocery store, or to get some gas, or to go to the bank and then come back home again. And for those of you that have to go to work or are working from work, or you work in a type of profession or job where you've got to be at the job, then, you've got to do what you've got to do. And I think we have to be mindful of that. We all carry a different cross, and we all have a different cross to bear. So it wasn't carry a cross. It was more of a cross to bear. That's what I meant to say. So, but you understand that. So I won't belabor the point. I just appreciate you guys so much. And I count it a privilege to be able to share with each and every one of you that listens to the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. This is truly a labor of love for me. If I never got paid a dime for this, which I don't get paid for it, by the way, if I never got paid a dime for this, I'd be okay with it. This is how much I love sharing the spoken word, how much I love telling stories. And I just really wanted to encourage you and, let you know that this too shall pass. I probably need to get a T-shirt with that on there, but that's just how I feel about things. I think that we're going to get through this, and there's going to be some really great stories, which I cannot wait to tell on this podcast from a bunch of people that are going to have a lot to share. So that's just where I am about things right now, and I really want to encourage you to don't be driven by fear. Don't allow fear to overtake you. If you're going through, it's okay to go through. It's okay to cry. But I want to encourage you that there are people here that care about you, that want to help you. And I certainly want to encourage you that this is, we're going to be all right. We are going to be all right. Yes, we're going to have some pain from this coronavirus pandemic. Unfortunately, people are dying. So I don't have to say people are going to die. People are dying right now. And people will continue to die until we can get this thing under control, until we can get a vaccine and a bunch of other stuff. But, we'll get through this. And prayerfully, I hope that everybody under the sound of my voice, everybody listening to this, comes out of this 100% whole and healthy. But I know now we're starting to know people that have had to deal with this, maybe have gotten coronavirus, have been sick, have been quarantined. So it's serious. It really is. And I don't want to make light of it in any way. But I just want to encourage you to keep fighting the good fight. Don't give up. And let's just see what happens. And I love, I was listening to a story the other day, and I always like to bring things back to business lessons. And I was listening to Sarah Blakely, who is the inventor of Spanx, tell her story about how she got into Neiman Marcus and just her resiliency and just not taking no for an answer. Some of us right now that are trying to help people, we need to not take no for an answer. We need to be willing to step up to the plate and help people wherever we can. But Sarah was telling her story to Tony Robbins on this podcast, and she started quoting the man in the arena from Theodore Roosevelt. And I just thought it would be a kind of appropriate to share that. And you guys have heard this before, but I'm going to share it one time. And as we close out, I just want to remind you that there are plenty of men and women in the arena. Are you one of them? And it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I guess I read that for somebody that's listening to this podcast today. If you're a healthcare worker, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the sacrifices that you and your family are making right now. If there is anything that I can personally do for you, please reach out to me, Randy at IamNorthwestArkansas.com. If you are another essential worker, if you're a paramedic, if you're a fireman, if you're a policeman, pulling double shifts, working overtime. I saw somewhere that in New York City, over 1,100 police and firemen have the coronavirus. So this is really affecting our first responders, and we've got to continue to encourage them whenever we see them. If you can, buy somebody a coffee or just drop a gift card off to them so that they can buy lunch or buy dinner, or maybe, get a meal or two for their family during the week. Whatever you can do to help out these people that are certainly on the front lines of this pandemic, do what you can. But I'm here to tell you folks, this too will pass. It will pass. It shall pass. It will happen. I just want to encourage you tonight to keep doing what you're doing. Keep making Northwest Arkansas a great place to live. Keep helping people out. Keep asking the difficult questions to make sure that everybody's covered, that everybody is being well taken care of. And just continue to put others first and everything else will work itself out. It's kind of been my mantra for years. I learned it from my grandparents, and it has served me well for a very long time, no matter what. The minute that I take my eyes off of the things that I need and focus on what other people need, everything else seems to add itself to it. Now that those of you that are listening to this and you come from maybe a spiritual or religious background, that may sound familiar to you, but the bottom line is it's true. It is true. The minute that you start focusing, it is always about others. It's never about ourselves. It's about other people. And we need to help other people where and when possible at all times. And so I just want to encourage you to continue to go out and do that. And my rant for this podcast episode is over. Again, I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. I really, really just enjoy being in front of you guys, or rather not in front of you, but between your ears, right? It's a very sacred place to be, between those ears. You guys are really smart. You guys are super intelligent. You could pick anything to listen to, but you choose to listen to this podcast. And for that, I am truly grateful. That's all I have for now. I will see you guys next week. And we may have some other special episodes, so listen out for those. But I did want to get Monday's episode out so that you had it. And I will catch up with you soon. Take care. Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Am Northwest Arkansas. Check us out each and every week, available anywhere that great podcasts can be found. For show notes or more information on becoming a guest, visit IamNorthwestArkansas.com. We'll see you next week on I Am Northwest Arkansas.